First, I'd like to apologize. Last week I was here worshiping and my daughter and I left out early. We had a birthday party. It was her birthday party we had to get to. And she was a little disappointed because she was like, Mommy, I wanted to stay and praise with them and worship with them. And I said, you can't be late to your party if you have people coming. So I wanted to apologize. Because I know some of you probably saw me kind of sneak out a little bit. But first, giving honor to God, to Pastor Thompson in his absence, to my pastor, Pastor Chuck Servine, and his first lady, Melissa Servine, in their absence, to Reverend Perkins, and to the New Life family. And then I have my sister and my daughter here with me. I would like to thank you all so much for allowing me to stand here this morning before you all. I know a lot of times when pastor's not here, we're like, we're not going to come, but being faithful to God, and there is a word from God this morning. I did speak to Pastor Ladd, your pastor last night. He called me to pray with me and to let me know that I was in good hands being here with you all. So I would like to thank you all this morning. So I'm going to be coming from the book of Daniel, chapter 3, starting at verse 5. I'm going to paraphrase just a bit because it is kind of a little lengthy where I want to go. So, once again, Daniel chapter 3, starting at verse 5. Now at this time a decree was issued. As soon as you hear the sound of all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. Verse 12 says, there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon who pay no attention to you. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold that you have set up. The king said, is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the image of gold I have set up? Now when you hear the sound of music, if you are ready to fall down and worship the image I made, very good. But if you do not worship, you will be thrown immediately into a blazing furnace. Then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual. So these men were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. Verse 24, then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw into the fire? They replied, certainly, your majesty. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed. And the 4th looks like the son of the gods. So just to give a little background, the land of Judah had been conquered by Babylon, and Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and many others had been deported to Babylon to serve the king. They were given prominent positions in the Babylonian government because King Nebuchadnezzar found the 4 of them to be 10 times better than the magicians and enchanters based on wisdom and knowledge. However, we all know that sometimes when we get a little bit of title and recognition for our hard work, then the haters are right on their job. They're ready to do what they can to destroy what God has built for you. Now, there was no way that the king was ever going to know about them not bowing. Like, how would he ever even know? Oh, but those haters, they made sure that the king knew. But what this story and Daniel's story in this book tells us is that serving God takes a real commitment on the part of a Christian. And when you are completely committed to God, He goes before you and He prepares a way. And when the journey is over, He gives you a miraculous testimony. Now we all have something in our lives that we're committed to. If you're in a relationship, you're likely committed to your significant other. Some of us are committed to our jobs, our families. Some of us, it's football season, some of us are committed to football. And then the list goes on and on. But a lot of times, the very thing we should be completely committed to, we are very lax about: our service and our praise to God. Our Christian life should be about a firm vow to God. We should give ourselves to God without hesitation. We shouldn't have to think about if we're going to or even if we want to serve. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego understood this kind of commitment. They boldly stood in front of the king, knowing that they would be put to death. But they said, we won't bow to your gods. And if He saves us, that's well and good. And if He doesn't, that's okay too, because we worship the one and only God. They were willing to lose their lives for God. How many of us can say that we have that same type of commitment? The goal as a Christian should be to praise through all circumstance and not compromise your integrity, your beliefs for anyone, anything, or any reason. Now, these men were placed in a prominent position in the government and have become esteemed by the king, and they still worship God. Now, this, I believe, is because they knew where all the blessings came from, where they flowed from. They understood that, and so they continued to praise. Sometimes, I think this is where a lot of us Christians start to get a little stingy with our praise. God has blessed us so much to the point that we take it for granted. We naturally are going to call on God when we're going through a rough time to get us out of the situation. But when things are going well, are we thanking God for sustaining us? A commitment to God is about being dedicated. The dedication is not only about praising, but it's about serving God and serving His people and giving of your gifts and your talents. Now, right now, you might be sitting out there thinking, I don't quite know what my gift or my talent is. But if you be still and you pray and you ask God, He'll reveal it to you. He uses all of us and knows what each of us are good at. Are you completely committed to Christ today? Or are you only committed on Sunday service, Bible study, choir rehearsal, prayer meeting? Now, God doesn't expect that every waking moment will be spent studying His Word or in prayer. However, it means we make time for those things. And a committed life means that in all you do, you should strive to keep God in the forefront. Proverbs 3:6 says, in all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. That means in all you do, His purpose should be driving you. A commitment sometimes will require a sacrifice on our part, but we should be willing to do that because God has sacrificed so much for us. When God called Peter and his brother Andrew to become fishers of men, they left everything to follow Jesus and live and teach God's word. In the book of Daniel, the lives of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego teach us that being completely dedicated to God may mean that you will lose your very life. That's the ultimate commitment. Now, we have to be very intentional about the way that we serve God, because He's very intentional about how He works in our lives. Your service can't be what's left over after you've done everything else. You have to be for real, be on fire for Christ. Serving God is not an obligation. It's an honor. No one, however, can tell you what your commitment looks like. It's not about matching what brother or sister next to you does. It's about doing exactly what God has asked of you. You have no one to answer to but Him when it comes down to it. So don't let anyone and I mean anyone, tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. Now, sometimes there are some people that may see something in you, and they say, you'd be great at this or that, but you go to God first. Because we all know He has His own plans on where your ministry is. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were committed to the end and made it very clear to the king. In verse 17 it says, if we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it. And He will deliver us. But even if He does not, we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you have set up. Now that's some type of commitment. Now when you exhibit a commitment like this to God, He will go ahead of you and prepare the way.
All right.
In our lives, God the Father is ever present. And although we don't see Him, if we know Him, surely we feel Him and have had situations that He has gotten you through. I have to admit that there have been a couple times that I've gotten myself into a very sticky situation. And I have literally begged God to get me out. Now, I knew full well when I went there, I had no business being there. I had no business staying. But I stayed, and then, Lord, please, if you get me out of this one, I won't come back. We've been there. We've been there. We see the warning signs. We hear the subtle hints. And sometimes they're not just subtle. They're like huge flashing, do not enter signs. Don't go. Stop. But we don't listen, and we just do it anyway. God can save us when we're in trouble. But I realize that we're not calling on Him to show up. We're simply calling on Him to move on our behalf. In the midst of your struggle, God is right there. I'll be quite honest, in my humble opinion, He was there when you arrived. Sometimes God does recon work for you. You know, He lets you know what the enemy has in store. Now, if you were ever in the military, you know, before, or if you're in the military now, then you may have had some first-hand experience with a recon mission. If you're a younger sibling, you may also have some experience in what a recon mission is. I'll explain that to you because I'm a younger sibling, okay? So my sister and I, a lot of times we would leave the house, and we were, you know, we're 3 years apart, so she's the big sister. She exercises her, you know, her strength and her power and authority over me. And we'd leave the house, and Mom would know, and we'd go around the corner to a friend's house, and she'd say, I want you back home at a certain time. And we're like, we're going to stay a little longer and play with our friends. We never told her. We'd just stay. But my big sister, Danielle, she'd send me on along. Go home. See what Mom's thinking. See if we're in trouble. And I'd say, hey, Mom, where are you guys? Where you guys are supposed to be home. And I'm like, can we stay just a little longer? We decided we were going to stay. Sometimes she would say yes. Other times she would say some things, and I can't repeat it here in church, so you guys just trust me. The answer was no. Just trust me, the answer was no. And that was the recon mission. So, I'm sorry. Sometimes God goes ahead to come back and apprise us of the current situation. There are other times God will completely prevent you from going down that path. But other times you will fall right into the enemy's trap, but only to be delivered by God's hands. At times He will completely set things right before you even get there. When you seek God and His purpose for your life, He's going to go before you. In Psalms 23, it says that God prepares a table before you in the presence of your enemies. Now, if we've ever hosted a dinner party or had friends over, you know you don't just open the door and everybody comes in and everything is good. There are some things that you have to do before they arrive. That's what God is doing sometimes. He's setting some things up to make sure that when your enemies arrive, you are in a position to deal with them. Now let me make it very clear. He may not fix the situation, so there is no trouble at all. But He may give you a warning. He may say, up ahead, you're going to run into some folks that mean you no good. In those times, that's when your testimony is born. If you don't believe me, look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They knew that by not bowing, they would be killed. It was a sure thing. King Nebuchadnezzar threw them right in. And do you see what I see? He leaped up. It says he leaped up and said, weren't there 3 men that we threw in the fire? Now there are 4.
All right.
And one of them looks like one of the gods.
Yeah.
Now, from what I understand, he didn't believe in God, but he recognized him when he saw him. That says a lot. That says a lot about the God that we serve. And this exhibits exactly what was said in Deuteronomy 31:8. The Lord goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Now, we've all had our fiery furnace experience. And if you haven't yet, it's coming. Just wait for it. And although you may not have been tossed into a physical fire, the physical and or mental pain probably felt exactly like that. You can look right now and think about what exactly was or is your furnace experience. Now, your furnace experience may be a health issue. It could be an issue in your family, in your marriage, on your job. It can be anything. But just think about that and how you came out. Or if you're already in it and you're in it right now, that you're going to come out of that. For those of you on the other side of your furnace experience, you can shout. But I have a little something I want to share with those who are currently going through their furnace experience. You too can shout because you are standing right here, which means you are winning. Now, it may not look like that right now, but the fact that what you're going through was designed to take you out, and you haven't lost your mind or yourself, you are already halfway there. Your furnace experience has given you a testimony, and through that testimony, you develop a perfect praise. A praise that is for God alone. Only I can speak of a night so cold, so lonely, so dark, that living another day just wasn't worth it. But God stepped in, and here I am before you today. Only you can speak to being so sick that you thought you might lose your very life. Only you can speak to the loss of an unborn child. But as hot as that furnace was for us, God was right there, and we walked out unharmed. Maybe a little battered, maybe a little bruised, a little broken, but you're here. Please don't allow anything that you've been through to be in vain. God doesn't work that way. There's something in every single experience. Even if it's not for you, someone can benefit from what you've gone through. Share what God has done for you. Your testimony is evidence or proof of what God has done in your life. All of us have a different story to tell. We all have to be a witness when God brings us through our storms. You don't keep it to yourself because the story's not yours to keep. We have to be unashamed of what God has done in our lives. God's favor and mercy has brought me to this point where I am today, and it's going to see me through until the end. And I'll let you know that it wasn't easy, and I'm still going through. Don't be too blessed to realize who the blesser is. We have to be able to stand up and boldly be able to say, it's only because of God that I am where I am. And He's the one who's seen me through. Now, no one else may understand what it's all about, but God has manifested this in your life. We must testify to the storms God has delivered us from. We were chosen because nobody but you can tell the story of your salvation. There are people out there that our story, our pain and heartache, our joy and victory can reach, and our testimony may be their deliverance. And although God needs no help from us when it comes to who He is and what He does, the way in which we live our lives gives credibility to who He is with those who don't believe. our lives serve a purpose to God, and our lives should be lived as if we take our charge seriously. The things that God has done for you and brought you through makes you the best person to testify to His greatness. We've all had things happen, and you know it was God's grace and favor that saw you through. We've had money issues. Some of us are still having them. I know I am. We've had problems with our families, our marriages, kids, mom, dad. We've had health scares. But we are here to tell others how God has gotten us through it. Or how we have put our faith in God to get us through. A lot of times we don't have to say a word. People can just see the blessing. Just as the blind man that God gave sight to. Those who knew him wanted to know, how is it that you can see? He didn't go running and telling everyone, but they saw. This man, he was blind, and then he can see. And they're like, that's not him. John 9:8-12 says, his neighbors and those who had formerly seen him begging asked, isn't this the same man who used to sit and beg? Some claimed that he was. Others said no, he only looks like him. But he himself insisted, I am the man. How then were your eyes open, they asked. He replied, the man they called Jesus made some mud and put it on my eyes. He told me to go to Siloam and wash. So I went and washed, and I could see. Where is this man, they asked. I don't know, he said. It's the same thing with us. We don't go out and tell everybody all the time that I used to be a drug addict and God delivered me. But people that know you see it all over you. They remember. And they're like, what happened? And you're like, God happened. Jesus happened. I was saved. That's what happened. They want to know how you got out of that abusive relationship. I prayed and I was delivered. They want to know how you got to where you are. Now, are you going to share your testimony, or are you going to sit on it? You make the choice today. Now, I talked a lot about committing to God, but we might be thinking, well, how do we do that? You start by praying and asking for direction. But once you pray and ask for direction, you have to be still. Listen. Now, right now, He may want you to sit right where you are, and then He'll bring it to you. Ask, and He'll reveal to you what He would have you to do. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that we're not doing enough, because I'm sure there are plenty of us sitting right here that are at every service. When pastor goes out, you're with pastor. You're making sure he's taken care of. You're making sure the church is taken care of. And all of the needs. But as much as you worked in the Sunday school ministry, the youth ministry, the pastor's aide, there is something else God's calling you to do. Take a moment. God wants your commitment to grow. And growth may just mean change. Maybe He's calling you to sing in the choir. Maybe He's calling on you to have the young adults ministry. Maybe He's calling on you to be in the outreach ministry. God wants His people to grow and progress. A lot of times in our lives, we are waiting on God to show up, but have yet to realize that He's already there, working it out for our good. He committed Himself to you so long ago. Are you willing to not only say that you are committed to Him today, but truly be committed? Worship God today in spite of your condition. Serve God today regardless of what you lack. Praise God today for what He is doing in your life. If you haven't already done so, commit to God today. Even though you have no idea what's on the other side of tomorrow, you can rest assured that God is waiting there for you all